Full board for January 24th, 2023. Call to order. Pastor Joe Collins, Alpena Shoreline Church, would you please lead us in prayer, please?
Father, we thank you for this day to do business in our county. And I just pray that you would give wisdom and guidance to these, our leaders. And Lord, that you would help each who's presenting a thought or a cause here today to do so in a way that glorifies you and honors you. And I just pray that each decision that's made would better our county and make things here profitable and prosperous. In your name, Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Carrie.
Commissioner LaHaye.
Here.
Commissioner Osmer.
Here.
Commissioner Karshnick.
Here.
Commissioner Fournier.
Here.
Commissioner Francisco.
Here.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Here. Okay, our first item is a motion to approve the adopt agenda.
And I would like to move something up on the agenda before we approve it.
I need a motion on that part.
Yeah.
Brenda, please.
Okay, I'd like a motion to move action item number 7 up to number 1 and move everything else down.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll support.
Support by Commissioner Francisco. Discussion?
That's the recycling one, Brenda?
No, that's
No.
for Commissioner 8,
County Commissioner,
District 8.
Oh.
I believe that they should have a chance to sit in on the rest of the meeting, whoever that person may be. We haven't been without a full board, past 3 full board meetings.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please, Carrie.
Commissioner LaHaye.
No.
Commissioner Osmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Karshnick.
No.
Commissioner Fournier.
Yes,
Commissioner Francisco.
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. Okay, we'll move that up to number 1 and move everything else down. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. We'll take in the room first, then we'll go to Zoom. So when you come up, mention your name or your address and go from there. You got 3 minutes.
do we have to?
We did.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Seeger. I live at 12700 Hawkins Road, Upper Lake, Michigan, in District 8, Austin Township. As a daughter of a former county commissioner, I probably have more insight than most about this board's role in our community. I recognize that being a county commissioner is often a thankless, difficult job filled with long hours, a multitude of meetings, and sometimes angry constituents. It also takes about 2 years of hard work to fully understand the job. Given this knowledge, and as a lifelong resident of District 8, I'm here today to recommend that you appoint John Kozlowski to the open commissioner seat in District 8. John has already proven his ability to understand and follow through with the requirements of the job. He spent countless hours learning county policy, procedures, and systems. His attention to detail and attendance at meetings is exemplary. And as commissioner for District 8 for the last 6 years, he is fully up to speed on the inner workings of the county and has represented his district, my district, to the best of his ability. My other reason for recommending that John be appointed to this position is that District 8 has overwhelmingly voted for John in each time he's run for county commissioner. John has consistently earned a minimum of 80% of the total votes cast each voting cycle. As commissioners, you face tough questions daily. So here are some tough questions. Are you willing to disenfranchise the voters in District 8 by telling them that their vote doesn't matter? How will that look to the community? How will you explain your vote? What will be your rationale for casting aside someone who already has the knowledge, history, experience, and understanding of the position? Will those political or personal reasons be good enough in the eyes of the voters? Is appointing someone new to the position the best use of county resources? The decision before you should be an easy one. However, I do ask you to carefully consider the ramifications of your decision in this matter. By appointing John, you gain a hardworking, knowledgeable member of the team who's not afraid to ask or answer the tough questions. He's also the candidate that District 8 has repeatedly voted for as their representative. I urge you to listen to the voters and appoint John Kozlowski to the Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Just hopping along a little here.
Step and a half.
Connie Fredericks, Osneek, Michigan, registered voter of District 8. This is not about you. It's about serving Alpena County with integrity, with transparency and trust, making the right decision based on what the voters' choice and not your own agenda here. I'm here in support of John Kozlowski's appointment to the District 8 vacancy. John is a hardworking, experienced, even-tempered, and conscientious individual who has represented District 8, Sanborn and Osneek Townships with his dedication and attention to detail for the last 6 years. John was legally elected by the electors of Sanborn and Osneek Township in the November 2022 election. He is a commissioner that we elected, but by a twist of fate, it was discovered that as a condition of his employment, he couldn't be elected to a partisan position. This was not disclosed until after the April filing deadline. But did we have another candidate that stepped forward and showed any interest in this seat and had filed to be a candidate? No. Then it became public knowledge that John would not be able to accept the elected position and would have to resign this position. Did anyone come forward to file as a candidate for the July deadline as a no party affiliation? No again. With no respect to any others, I ask, where were these interested individuals? Why didn't they express interest in becoming District 8 elected commissioner and file by the July deadline, or express interest as the write-in candidate? And why at this juncture are we now expressing interest? A political move to deprive the voters of having a say, or a hidden agenda by this Board of Commissioners? In the past 60 days, I've heard remarks for justification for the administrator's pay raise, appointing 2 previous commissioners to park positions. Remarks like making the county stable, functional, and financially responsible. Commissioners come and go. We need somebody with long-term goals and vision. Staffing the commissioner's office is hard. Commissioners' work is complex. We need to keep people involved in ongoing projects. Continuation is needed. Sounds like John fits his bill to a T, doesn't it? Will these 7 commissioners here today decide to appoint John Kozlowski, who is a choice of the voters of District 8? Or will this again be a lack of transparency and trust of our local elected officials that we have come to expect a decision that was decided outside of a meeting and for their own agenda and not for the will of the people whom they supposedly represent? If these 7 commissioners here today decide to appoint someone besides the rightful, legally elected commissioner for District 8, can we truthfully say the voters of Sanborn and Osneek had a say in who we wanted to represent us? Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Doris Fays. I live at 3020. Thank you. Chickadee Lane in Osneek. I am in District 8. I am a retired teacher. And before that, I was a township clerk, so I have a little bit of understanding as to how governments work. Dear Commissioners of Alpena County, I am here today to speak in favor of appointing John Kozlowski as Commissioner for the 8th District of Alpena County. I live in Sanborn, in Osneek, in Sanborn Township. This is my county commissioner district. I have known John Kozlowski for many years. He is a hardworking member of the community. John has put in countless hours on behalf of his constituents. He attends meetings on many levels and is always ready to meet with a constituent. John is honest and he is a man of integrity. He is willing to go to the extra mile and he is unafraid to ask hard questions. I am a member of several organizations, both civic and religious, but I am here today on my own behalf. This is not a partisan or Democratic versus Republican issue. This is a matter of who will best serve the residents of the 8th District. I believe John Kozlowski is that man. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Earl Martin. I'm the manager of Beaver Lake Park. I live at 17354 Beaver Lake Park Road. John has been a person I've looked up to in many ways, besides the fact that he's taller than me. I figure we need a little humor there too. I would like to stand up here and tell you what I think of John. He's a great guy. He has something that a lot of people have a hard time finding within themselves. It's called honor, courage, and commitment. And he's loyal to his job. I've seen him stand before me, chew my butt for something I've done wrong, but then the very next day, shake my hand for something I've done right. That's the kind of guy I want to represent me in this oval area here. I also want to let you know that John has the ability to be able to answer the tough questions, ask the tough questions. He believes in things being done right. And for that, I really would like to see his vote, the vote of the people, be listened to here, and he be elected as my representative. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Lawson from 9449 US 23 South in Ossining. And I'm here in support of John. I've known him since about 2016 when I became aware that he was interested in running for the seat that I occupied. I had some thinking to do, but in a way it was a real blessing because at that time I had a very sick kid and I was hoping that if I couldn't run, that there'd be somebody good to take my place. And John appeared. So as I got to know him, I got very, very comfortable with him as a replacement for me. And I actually, all these nice folks stole about half the remarks I was going to make. So I just want to say I concur with the previous public comment. I think John is, in a lot of ways, a man after my own heart, committed to transparency. I believe that's, of course, very important, as I'm sure you do. Believe he's really committed to representation. And, you know, that is not as much a universal value as we might think. In fact, just on our own school board, not too long ago, that we were told by a member of the board who gave us an opinion by Michigan Association of School Boards lawyer that we didn't actually represent the people who elected us. You're trustees, you can do what you want. You don't represent anyone. And my response to that was, no, I don't think so. I know that people sent me to this position through an electoral process. So that representation is very important. I believe John thoroughly embraces that value. I also believe he's a person who likes to get to the bottom of things. As somebody else mentioned, he asks the hard questions. That is not always a pleasant process. Sometimes it's quite messy, but I really believe that that's what John is about. It's a very strange situation he finds himself in with this issue of the employment and not being able to occupy a seat that he has legally won in an election. I think that's very odd. Being of course, a resident and voter of Sanborn Township, I really feel that it's probably appropriate in every sense to appoint him to this position. Obviously, that's up to you, but that's my 2 cents. And I thank you for your time.
Thanks. Thank you.
Hello again. Ben Young from 113 South 9th Street and 601 North 2nd. I represent small business and residential. And I ask you, please don't kill the DDA expansion. Thank you. I believe the city approves it, the college approves it. I'm looking at the fruits of the DDA's labors coming down Chisholm Street, and I see a firewall right now. If we don't expand this, we're not going to see the millions of dollars put into our city that we could enjoy by voting it down. So again, I please beg you guys to don't kill it. Thank you.
Hi, Laura Ellery Summers, 904 Cowper Street. I actually worked for the Board of Commissioners for a number of years, and now I'm the Township Treasurer. I have known John since he has been a commissioner, and I feel that he has always, again, asked the hard questions. He's not a yes man. He looks out for the best interest of the county. And I feel that when this all came down the pike, he could have easily said, you know what? It's not worth it to go through this extra work to try to, get his seat back that he won. And he fought the fight, and hopefully it will turn out the way it is supposed to be. So thank you.
Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Bradby. I'm at 1532 West Nicholson Hill Road, and I'm representing John Kozlowski. I'm hoping everyone here will make the right decision. And I also second and third everything that most of the people who are backing John today has said. I don't have anything prepared, so but I do know John. I've known him for the last 7 years, since 2016. I was a contracting officer for the Alpena CRTC since 2016. And I work with John most closely as his position as the comptroller on the base. And again, everything everybody else has said here about John is spot on. And I hope everybody here makes the right decision and allow John to take that position. Coming from me and coming from over 20 years experience in the military as a Air Force Master Sergeant. I know how the government works as well. And John does as well. And I think that he would make the best decision. So thank you.
Hello, Leanne Bloom, 7466 Worth Road in Alpena. And I am here in support of John Kozlowski as well. I don't have any eloquent speech because I tend to call it like I see it. We sit here on the state and national levels and see the backdoor deals and shenanigans that go on, and we rant and rail against it. But I think that's exactly what's going on today. John Kozlowski has proven that he has been a good commissioner. He is interested in the position, and at no point did he ever say he wasn't. I'm sure there's other candidates that we might want to bring in that are good people to the community as well, good golfing buddies. But if we're looking at who should be in this position, it's John. And if we don't want to see what happens at state and national levels happening in our own backyard, I encourage each and every one of you who has run as a Republican to do the right thing and act like a good Republican. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good afternoon. I'll take my 3 moments quickly. And this is also, my name is Dustin Budd, Maple Ridge Township, here to speak on behalf of Mr. John Kozlowski. I arrived in Alpena in 2019. Mr. John Kozlowski was a member out of the base who worked out there. Had the opportunity to speak to John numerous times. He managed finances, so I spoke to him quite often, actually quite a bit. And had a great opportunity to meet John and also be introduced to Alpena County and what the people in this county believed, how they think. He represented them very well. It was a great opportunity for me to learn who people are here, to understand how the system, I shouldn't say system, but how the government works as a commissioner. John spoke very well towards that. He gave me details and helped me understand. So I just want to speak and say, John, he represents the folks in his district. That was always a primary concern of his, is to speak for them. He was elected repeatedly while I've been here by those personnel, so that tells me they trust him. They voted for him. The vagaries of federal law, he was unable to fill the elected position, but he is able to fill an appointed position, which you understand. He's already been elected, so his constituents have voted. And I think it'd be the right answer is to allow him to complete that term. Again, I have relied upon John for his expertise when it comes to finance. He understands that. He understands how things are complex and they need to be worked over time. So the importance of accurate understanding and facts. And for those reasons, I would definitely recommend that John be considered again to be appointed to fill the seat that he's already been elected to. And my moment here is just to endorse John and to say I have great faith in him, and his constituents do as well. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Pam Kirchhoff, 421 South 4th Avenue, Alpena. I am just here to support John Kozlowski. I have had the honor of serving on the Alpena County Board of Parks and Recreations with John for the past 3 years. He also served on the Beaver Lake Park Committee, which I was a committee member of as well. I just feel that John, from what I know of him, it's been an honor working with him. He acts with integrity. He's not afraid to ask the hard questions. He expects openness and honesty from everybody. So I would just ask that you consider him for appointment.
Good afternoon. Thomas Heiss, 3376 Piper Road, Alpena Township. Now, last time standing before you good people, I talked about leadership on this board and lack thereof. Since this is a room of the people, and these fine people all here today have spoken in this room of the people, I want to challenge you, Mr. Peterson, as the appointed leader of this board today. It's time for you to lead, sir, and do the right damn thing. I'm tired of people not doing the right thing at the cost of others. Your job is to do the right thing for the people of Alpena County. You all got little district signs in front of you, but your purpose as a county commissioner is for the overall good for the entire county. What have all these voices talked about in front of you here today, outside of a person, and he had a good point too about what he was talking about. Overwhelmingly, people have showed up here today. Once again, I challenge you, Mr. Peterson, as the leader, to do the right thing. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom, Kim? Nobody popping up? Okay, we'll close comment then. Everybody has a consent calendar in front of them. Anybody wish to pull anything off the consent calendar? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Fournier.
I'll support that.
Support by Commissioner Karshnick. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Karshnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. Okay, action item number 1, which is action item number 7. Recommendation to adopt, no, excuse me. 7, there was interview for District 8 seat. We'll conduct the interview. Mary Catherine and past presidents, we went with alphabetical order. And that's what we'll do now. John will ask you to leave the room when we interview Commissioner Fitzpatrick, and you can come in and we'll interview you. Huh? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, we're gonna do it. So everybody's gonna have questions from the board for each candidate, and we'll go from there. So, John, would you please? Thank you. Commissioners, now we'll start with the interview. Mr. Fitzpatrick, will you come up to the podium, please? We're going to start with, go right down the line from Commissioner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then back. And turn, we'll go three rounds of this. And Bill, do you have anything to ask?
I've known Tim for over 20 years now, and I've been with on several occasions. He's a great community supporter. He's done immense for this community, and he's honest. He knows how to read a financial statement, and he's a good negotiator. That's all I have.
Jesse, do you have?
No, I had a couple of questions, but to be honest, I think.
Huh?
I think I'll leave them good.
Leave them? Okay, Dave?
I've known Tim for 40 years. He's a businessman and has done a lot for this community. If you look around at the hospital, if you look around at the Alpena Community College, what he has done is more than amazing. So he has stepped up to the plate and put his mouth where his money's at. And I support him completely.
Linda?
I'm sorry, Chairman, point of order.
Okay,
Are we asking questions or are we making statements?
We're asked both.
Okay, well, then I would like to make a statement.
Okay, go ahead.
I apologize.
Yep.
I would just like to let everybody know, I know everybody, obviously, it seems like a lot of you know Mr. Kozlowski very well. I don't know how many of you know Mr. Fitzpatrick, but I do. And this is a man who should be respected, other than Jesse Besser, I think secondary to maybe him, what he's done for Alpena and for our community. So I just want everybody to realize him putting his name up for consideration, I think is something we should respect because he certainly doesn't have to do it. It's definitely, I think, a showing of continuation to service to this community. I just want to mention that I don't want anybody speaking in favor of Kozlowski to in any way feel that that somehow diminishes Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Okay, Brenda?
Hi. Could you please tell me, have you ever served on any boards outside of the bank, like for trustee or county commissioner?
Is that the question?
Yes.
I have not served on any committees in any kind of public service. I have been on a number of boards, mostly national, having to do with the franchise that I'm associated with. But nothing, no, I'm not a politician.
Okay. We're only allowed one?
Huh? Yeah, that's round one.
Okay.
Bert?
Hi, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Can you explain to the committee, to the commissioners today, why we should select you as the District 8 Commissioner?
Simply because in the last 40 years, I deal on a daily basis with all of the issues that you deal with. Budgeting, financial situations, personnel, facilities, all the same issues that you have. I have been on the bank board for 18 years, 14 as chairman. I do know how to get things done with the board working together.
Thank you, sir.
Travis?
I actually do not have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Fitzpatrick, what do you wish to accomplish if you are elected to us?
I'm hesitant to say because I'm gonna irritate a bunch of people, and I'd rather do that later when I get on the board than right now. So I really don't know how to answer that question.
Be honest. Pardon me? Just be honest.
Guys, tell,
They don't have any comments on the audience.
no.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Bill? You got any- Round two, you got anything else?
No, I'm good. I just, I support him 100% because I just know what he's doing.
Jesse?
You know, Bill, there is one thing I will say, I'm sorry, is that the one thing that being honest, that we need to do is take a real hard look at this budget. Pushing the thing down the road and down the road, sooner or later, it's got to stop. I have questions on property that the county owns. And again, this is not the forum to be doing it. I question the need to own that property. I could keep going, but I think. I'm sorry. Okay. Jesse, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no.
Dave?
As you know, the budget, we have a $12 million budget and we take in less than $11 million. That's a real deficit that we've had for a long time. We have 4 new commissioners elected by the public and by the people. And we need change, whether we accept it or not, change is going to happen. Are those two of the topics that really bother you, the budget and not having the money to fund it?
Well, absolutely. It's the basic core of any organization or business. I don't know what's taken the board so long to realize that.
Brenda?
I was going through your application and I noticed that you did not put down any schools that you attended and I thought you must have went to school.
Yeah.
Okay, or college
I
or,
apologize for that. I picked up that application and very honestly, can't tell you that I actually knew what to expect, but I didn't really expect that it would be a application for a job for Alpena County. And I scanned it as I was going to my car and I saw that there was the position I was seeking, the amount of salary that I'd like to see, my last 3 employers, which I don't have. And I thought to myself, this really isn't applicable to this whole thing. So I gave it to Mary and I told her to fill it out and I signed it. That's being perfectly honest with you.
okay, so you didn't,
Well, and so to answer your question about the education, yeah, I graduated from Alpena High, 69. I went to Alpena Community College for either 1.5 or 2 years. The reason, that was 50 years ago. I can't quite remember, but I took off a semester to my stepfather is in the business here in Alpena and he needed some help, trust me. And I got drafted. And like all things, that took care of that and never went back. And 50 years later, here I am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for the record, Mr. Fitzpatrick, could you give the Board of Commissioners an idea of your business or work-related backgrounds that you think would allow you for you to be qualified and for us to consider you to be the commissioner?
Well, once again, I ran a relatively large business. It was 5 states and a lot of employees, a lot of issues that come along with that whole thing. So I've been doing that for over 40 years and relatively successfully. So I think that has some qualifications for exactly what people do.
Thank you, sir.
Travis?
I do not have any questions.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, do you have enough time available for county meetings and other community obligations?
Well, if I didn't, I wouldn't be standing here.
That was just general questions. I mean, there is, anybody can attest that's on this board that there's a lot of time involved coming into this
I'm
position.
aware of that. Like Dave says, I've known him a long time and I know how much time he spends on it. Thank God for Mary Catherine.
Yeah. Round three, Bill, you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Jesse? Dave?
No, I have no more.
Brenda?
I do have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned that you had Mary fill out your application.
I'm sorry?
You mentioned that you had Mary fill out your application. Were you not that interested in filling it out yourself? Usually when you apply for a position, we'd like to know what's on that application and mark it correctly. And I'm sorry, I just don't see that if you have somebody else fill it out for you.
Well, for one thing, Mary has been with me for 40 or 41 years.
I'm not this Mary.
I don't know who Mary is.
Oh, Mary's my secretary. I'm sorry. She's been with me a little over 40, I'm not sure, 40 or 41. And after 40 years, we know each other. So I trusted her to fill it out. I actually didn't think I was applying for the Secret Service. I thought it was a kind of an interesting application for a county commissioner to be seeking. Could I name my salary? That's what this thing said. I mean, it really wasn't what I was expecting when I was to pick up an application.
Okay, thank you.
Bert?
No further questions.
Travis?
I'll just add comment. Moving forward, if we're ever stuck in this position again, maybe we should revamp the application because it is a generic application for any county employee. So I could see where Mr. Fitzpatrick is coming from, but that's a bridge for us to cross if we ever get stuck in this pickle again.
It'll happen again, so that's something we better get done.
Yeah.
Mary Catherine, put that on your notes.
Making a note.
Okay. Anybody else? Going? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, John.
Hi, John.
Anything about the voters' concerns?
Quite proud. We'll start off with Bill. You got any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Jess?
No questions, but I made a statement before, so I'd like to make.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's simply, and again, I know both Mr. Fitzpatrick and Mr. Kozlowski. I will say, had Mr. Kozlowski's, one of the reasons I ran actually was because a lot of the votes he took didn't go the way they should have gone. And had they gone that way, I think we would be in a much better area financially, possibly. But it was what motivated me to run was the votes weren't getting to where they needed to be to get us back on track. So I'd like to say.
Dave?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments I'm going to ask John. The last day to file for the August partisan primary was April the 19th. The last day to withdraw was April 22nd at 4 p.m. to get your name off the ballot. And as you stated, you couldn't get your name off the ballot. You resigned, letter to the clerk, November 9th, 7 months after you knew, and after the general election. So nobody could file because in their minds, you never told the public that they voted for you and you weren't even eligible to be on the ballot. And I want to know why you waited 7 months before you turned in a resignation letter on November the 9th after the general election's over. So nobody could even file a written writing candidate or anything. So you were protecting your seat.
No. So I had heard that Commissioner Francisco had a question related to the same thing, and I called him up the other night and pretty much explained the entire process that happened. So back in the 19th was, as you say, the last day to file for the seat on the, what was it? That Friday was the 24th or whatever it was it the 24th? So on the 24th, I received a notice from the Office of Special Counsel in Washington, D.C. They notified me that, well, they went through the process of saying, okay, you explained some of the situation of what was going on, that I wasn't allowed as a federal employee. There was 6 weeks of back and forth with them to get clarification for them to be comfortable with the decision that they made. During that time, they said that I had 3 options. I could either quit my job, which my wife strongly recommended that I didn't, and I was very tempted to do, and she can attest to that. Could withdraw from the ballot, or I could decline the nomination. So I tried all. I did, well, actually I didn't quit the job. I tried to withdraw my name from the Board of Elections. They basically told me that the only way that I would be able to withdraw my name from the election was to come up with an illness. And I said, and again, one of the things I feel, and I appreciate everyone, the kind comments from everybody, but one of the things I live by the core values of the Air Force. And the first one is integrity. And I said, what kind of integrity would I have if I declined or told you that I had an illness to get my name off the ballot? I didn't do that, and so we moved forward. Every step of the process, I've been in communication with the Office of Special Counsel, and I've done everything that they've asked me to do. Back when they had given me the letter to say everything that they looked into, checked out, I needed to submit a letter to both the Alpena News and both the True North Radio. I did that. They actually, when I sent the letter to True North Radio, Alpena News didn't pick up on it. And then I had to put a letter to the editor and ask them, could you please put this in, because the Office of Special Counsel is asking me to do that. So again, I didn't do anything maliciously or have intent to do anything. I did exactly what they asked me to do by having my name publicly and out there. And I think the news media actually, I know True North Radio had said a couple times that the position would be vacant. So again, it wasn't that I purposely waited. I did exactly what they asked me to do. And when I won the election, that was the last step, was to decline the nomination.
Thank you, John.
Brenda.
John, I've known you 7 years now. You're a hard worker. I have a hard question to ask you. Why did you go around getting all the signatures that you got in your favor? Why do you want to come back on this board as a county?
Well, I've had some people say you're probably better off not to do that, but you know me, I know Kevin knows me, most of the people that have been here know me, that I don't just give 50%, I do 110%. And when I decided I was going to move forward with trying to be appointed, after I was told by the Office of Special Counsel that I could do that, I decided to reach out and ask all the elected officials within the community. Actually, it started with the townships. So I went to the township board and asked them, would you support me? They said yes, they would support me. They would write a letter of support. Each township both passed a motion to write a letter of support on my behalf. Once they told me that they were going to write a letter of support, I then decided maybe I should ask the other elected officials within the county. I got the clerk, I got the treasurer, I got the sheriff, I got the drain commissioner, register of deeds. I asked every single person, and every single person that I asked, not one person hesitated when I asked, would you write a letter? Everyone said, yes, I'd be more than willing to. So going to answer your question with signatures, one of the things that kind of popped into my head while I was trying to ponder what should I do to be appointed back to the board. I won the election, I had to decline it, but I wanted to prove to the board here today that it wasn't just, a fluke or whatever that I won. Those same people had every opportunity. I talked to over 150 people to ask them to sign my petition, people that didn't even know me. And it was kind of an interesting process because as I met and talked to the individuals, explained my situation, a lot of times people didn't even know what a county commissioner did or does, and I had to explain that. So some of those people that I met with, I actually was in their house for over an hour talking to them. So unfortunately, I didn't get more signatures. I probably would have got more signatures. I know some of the people that are in this room here today. I met with those people and talked to those people, and they signed it. And, you know, anyone that ever has asked a question about my situation, I've been more than willing to explain. I told you up front what happened to me. You asked me the questions. I explained everything. I've gone to my townships from the very beginning, told them that, I even laid it out on the line. I said, if you vote for me, you have to realize that I will not be able to accept the nomination, and I will have to decline the nomination. I told them from day one what was going on. So again, we talk about the transparency, and I totally believe in the transparency. And that's why I've met or talked to all my constituents, the people that live in my district, to explain what I've done. The treasurer has known probably since day one. She's asked me questions. You know, I come into the treasurer's office on a weekly basis, maybe not weekly, maybe every 10 days, usually on my day off from the base, come in and talk to the treasurer. I come to the clerk's office. I go to the register of deeds. I try to meet with all the different offices to ask them. The reason I'm doing this is because I enjoy it, but I want to serve and do what's right for the district that I serve. And that's why I try to go above and beyond and get those signatures as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Kozlowski, you said that you won the election, the general election in November, but you had to decline. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you have to decline?
I declined because of the Hatch Act. As a federal employee, that you were not allowed to run in a partisan election. And so when I was notified, and again, I explained all this to you when I talked to you the other night. As a military member, I contacted the JAG, who is the attorney for the military. And at the time I said, can I run for a position, a county commissioner position? And he said, absolutely. You can run as a partisan, you can run as a Democrat, or you can run as a Republican. You just can't do it in your uniform. I said, fine. I did that, won the election. That wasn't a problem. I then became a Michigan state employee. Again, every time that I took a position, the first thing that I brought up is, I am a county commissioner. Is this going to be a problem? And each human resource department, whatever it was that I've dealt with, basically said, no, it wasn't a problem. The last one, when I took the federal position in March 30th of 2020, I met with the base commander and I said, if this is going to be a problem, I will not be taking this position. I want to continue to be a county commissioner because it's extremely important to me. It's important to me to serve those people that don't have a voice. Their voice is through me.
Okay, so if I may continue, Mr. Chairman, it's kind of a follow-on question to my first question. So you said at the beginning of your statement, or your answer, was that it was in violation of the Hatch Act. So in the Hatch Act, it states that you cannot run as a partisan, in a partisan position. Is that correct?
Yep.
Where does it say in the Hatch Act that if you're appointed into this, that it's okay to be appointed into the position? Because as I understand the Hatch Act, it's because of the nature of the duties of a civil service person.
No. So again, I have been in constant contact with I kind of joked that I need to get on his Christmas card list, but Sam Mott, who's the attorney at the Office of Special Counsel in Washington, D.C., every step of the way. What I've done is called him. I actually emailed him this morning and said, just wanted to keep you updated that today is the day of the appointments. I hadn't heard back from him yet, but he was the one. And I don't have that particular piece of paper. I'd be more than willing to find that and get that to you. But in that piece of paper, in the discussions that I've had with Mr. Mott, the Office of Special Counsel, I specifically asked him, is that a problem? Can I be appointed to the position? And he said, yes.
So just so that I understand.
So it has nothing to do, he said, the reason that you can't run in a partisan election is because, and it has nothing to do with the conflict of interest. It has to do with, because you as a federal employee are perceived as either you're partisan, or you're Republican or you're Democrat. And he said, that's the issue. It has nothing to do with, because I said, most of the stuff I deal with when I'm a county commissioner has nothing to do with the actually being a conflict of interest. And he said, that's not the problem. It's you running in a partisan election. And that was the whole thing. Again, like I said, just the last time I talked to him, he said, because I wasn't going to do this, I wasn't going to continue to pursue something that I wasn't allowed to do. And he gave me the okay to go ahead and basically told me that he could be appointed to the position.
But not elected into the position?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, Travis?
Do you have any questions?
Bill?
When you resigned, I recruited another candidate because at that time, I didn't realize what was going on with you. So I got a good candidate. He's got the qualifications to do the job. I'm going to support him 100%.
Well,
I'm not saying that I don't agree with what you're saying, that you're a good person. I don't really know you. And the first time I really saw you is today, and I never talked to you, and I don't know anything about you. But I picked Tim because he'd make an excellent candidate for this board. So that's where I stand today on this issue.
So I just wanted to clarify one statement that you said. You said resigned. I've never resigned. I specifically even asked the attorney, are you telling me that I have to resign? He said, no, you don't have to resign. He said, you cannot accept the position, the elected position. So never did you hear that I resigned. When I submitted my letter to the clerk's office, my letter stated that I would not be able to accept the nomination by the Republican Party as a candidate for that position.
Well, that's a resignation.
No,
Yes.
resignation to me would be that, because I did say, because when he first called me back in April, I said, are you telling me that I have to resign? Because if you're telling me that I have to resign, I need to know that. He said, no, I am not telling you that you have to resign.
Well, I think you resigned, and that's the reason why I picked Tim. So,
Yes. Thank you. Dave? Brenda?
I do.
Go ahead.
John, how many years were you in the Air Force?
I served in the military for 34 years, 10 months. I was 2 months shy of being in the military for 35 years to the day. I got out because of terminal leave. I'm sure Commissioner Francisco knows that with terminal leave, you take your terminal leave and they give you all your leave that's built up. I did that because personally, I don't know about the rest of you, but I love summer. So I wanted to enjoy my summer, my last, if you will, summer off before I had to take another position.
So basically you retired from the,
Yep, 30, I like to round up, you know, when I say that I'm 6 feet, I'm really 5, I hope this doesn't get out, but I'm really 5'3", so don't let anybody know. So I say 35 years,
Okay.
2 months short of 35 years.
you were able to fill out your application yourself?
Yes, I filled out my application. I filled out the application the day that it came out, I filled it out. I didn't turn it in, obviously. One of the reasons that I didn't turn it in was because I was working at getting the signatures. I actually got 2 signatures the day that I turned in my application. I ran into someone at work and talked to them, and they said they'd sign my thing. So.
Thank you.
Bert?
Just one last question. So you're a GS civil service employee, GS 8, 9, I don't know, GS something, but anyway, you are a GS civil service employee. I've only been a commissioner now for about 1 month. And fortunately, I'm retired, so I can find the time to spend to attend and prepare for all the committees. As a full-time employee at general service employee, civil servant at CRTC, how in the world do you find the time to be able to go to all these events and take time off from your full-time job to serve as on the various appointed committees?
So my wife can probably attest to this. I say I have two full-time jobs. I have a full-time job at the base and I have a full-time job. This to me was a full-time job, even though it's not paid as a full-time job. Anytime that I leave work, I take leave for that time, I come to the meetings, I do whatever I need to do at the meetings. I go back to work and usually I'm there until 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night. My wife actually got a part-time job because I was never home. So she kind of was like, now I'm gonna have to rethink this if you don't become county commissioner. But, so I do honestly feel like I have two full-time jobs. And it's, if anyone, and I'm not the type of person to be afraid of work. I love work and that's why I do this. I'm very passionate about my job at work, on the base, and here as a county commissioner. So, like I said, I have two full-time jobs. That's how I do it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Travis?
So I don't have any questions for John, but I do have a comment. Regardless of how this turns out today, you certainly should feel very applauded from the people in this room.
I just take the moment that I had that actually in my thing, but I want to thank every single one of you that came here today and spoke on my behalf because I really do appreciate it.
It's quite a following, impressive, definitely. Like I said, however this turns out today, you should walk out that door with your head hung
Well, I
pretty high.
definitely do. I am, it's humbling when, and I talked to a couple people and said, people that were in my district, would you be willing to speak on my behalf? Handful of people. I wasn't expecting to have everybody speak as well as they did, but it is very humbling.
All I have, thank you.
John, if you're appointed this 2-year term, what's your plans after? Because now we go to a 4-year term after this term.
So my wife already knows that I said that I'm resigning, quitting my job full-time because, and again, this isn't something that, again, you guys know, this isn't something that you're going to make. I always say, I'm not doing it for the fame and the fame and the fortune because neither one of them exist. I'm doing it because I've been very passionate about doing what I do as a county commissioner and serving the constituents of District 8. So my plan is, and again, since my I guess trying to be appointed, I've had a number of conversations with other people. So the plan is that because I know the next one is a 4-year, and I've had many conversations with my wife as well, that as a 4-year term, my plan is that I would be resigning my position.
At the base, because you couldn't run as a Republican. or Democrat.
So next time I can't run, obviously,
Correct.
because of the partisanship.
Correct. Was there anything else? Anybody else on the board? No?
Yes,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman. So my question is, I want to make sure we have all the bases covered because an election for a county commissioner belongs to the people of the district. And here we are today, unfortunately, we're a board of commissioners, the 7 of us, have to make that decision. Is there no other way or option for us to be able to, like a special election or something? So is that not an option? And that's why we have to leave this decision up to the 7 of us.
The statute does not make a provision for a special election when there is a vacancy. It is stated specifically in the statute that the Board of Commissioners makes the appointment.
Okay, so by law, we are making this appointment. Okay, thank you.
Which, well, I've been on this board a couple times and I don't like it.
Right.
Because we've had to do it a couple times, like 3 times since I've been on here, so. Okay, is there anything else?
Do you golf, John?
No.
Okay.
I mini golf. Does that count?
I don't think so.
So, anything else? Mary Catherine, what do we have to do now?
It is up to your process. There is no process that is laid out in the statute. I believe in the past, you've had a discussion and a motion and a vote for a particular candidate, if that was the way you would like to proceed.
Just, is it ballot or is it open public, right? Just,
There's no provision for secret ballots.
Okay. Okay.
Just wanted, so you guys are good with me then?
Yeah, I'll go with you, John. Thank you, sir.
I would just like to put it out there. I'd like to make the motion that we appoint John Kozlowski back to his original seat, District 8.
Second.
Got a second discussion?
I would just like to say that John worked very hard to get back. And it's quite obvious to me that the people here in this room want John back. He went and got all the signatures. He filled out his own application. He didn't need a secretary to do it. John works hard and he thinks of the people. And if they're here today asking to get him back, well, then I make that motion.
We have a motion, I have a second. Any more discussion? Roll call, Carrie, it'll be yes for John or no?
Commissioner Karshnick,
No.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
No.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
No.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
This is gonna be one of the toughest ones I've ever had to make. I know John, I respect him. I don't know Fitz that well, but I know what my heart tells me, but I know what I think has got to be done. And if it takes and affects something that's people I know, it's fine, but I'm going to vote for John.
The rest of them.
Okay,
Excuse me?
any more discussion? He'll be removed from the meeting. Okay, action item number,
Do you want John?
yeah, please take a seat now. Yeah, okay.
Be sworn in
Yeah,
by
sworn in.
the
Yeah.
Do we want to chair in?
I'll leave.
I'm gonna tell Mr.
Okay.
Fitzpatrick you can go home.
I can do the swearing in, but you'll have to stop by the clerk's office.
That's fine.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Alpena County Commissioner for District 8 according to the best of my ability.
I will.
Welcome, John.
Thank you.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
Probably, yes, but all right. We got it. So can I scooch behind you?
Yeah.
Trade chairs, what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just slide him down. I think it's a little easier.
Want to slide him down?
Oh, I warmed it up for you, John.
That way we don't have to try to navigate stairs and flag. And Yeah, you'll have to-
Hey, to say the least.
No, that's right. I can go.
Well, I had to do a lot of digging. Give you all the information that I had. Thank you.
I think you got enough under your belt, you can wing it.
Okay.
You can absolutely grab an agenda, yeah.
Okay, moving the action items down, on action item number 2, Dave Guthrie.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dave.
This year's grant amount, county grant amount for remonumentation is $48,765. Of that, we have $80 budgeted for the contract surveying, or 80%, I should say, and 20% for the peer review and administration. We have two contractors this year. They both in the program for a very long time. Their offices are within the county. They primarily operate within the county. They are the most qualified. Questions?
You might want to explain to them, new commissioners, Dave, what it means.
Well, the state remon program started in 1993. And, the purpose is to perpetuate the location of the original government corners. They're about a half mile apart. We've got about 2,000 in Alpena County. We have to date remonumented about 1,400, so we have about 600 left. So, this year we've got $48,000. That allows us to do 32 corners. So obviously we're not gonna finish anytime soon. It could take another 10 years. But what's happening now is some of the counties that receive more money than we do have gotten through the first phase, and then the second phase, which is called corner preservation. And they get less money, so when that happens, the counties that aren't finished will get more money as time goes on. So hopefully we'll get through the first phase sooner. The way the money is generated is out of every recording fee, I think it's $4 that gets set aside and sent to the state. And then they send it back to the counties in the form of a grant. And we always have gotten more than we receive. And the reason is there's two parts to the formula for the grant. One half is based upon the county contribution. The other half is based upon the area of the county versus the area of the state. And this is where we really come ahead because some of the counties like Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, they contribute much more. So we've always gotten more than we receive. Again, questions?
Any questions from Dave?
No.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the 2 contracts.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Karshnick, support.
I'll support.
Support by Commissioner Konashevsky. Discussion. Roll call, please, Carrie.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Karshnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
and Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation.
Action item number 3, Eric.
This will be real quick. Obviously, you have the memo I put in front of you. Damage to the jail caused by an inmate. The proposal that I have in front of you, we've actually discovered an alternative method to fix the problem. It's gonna be a lot less expensive, like $400. So for right now, we just need to table it. I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail because it is kind of a security issue. Also, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
So we'll just table it then. Thanks, Eric. Janelle.
Quite the crowd here today. I'd like this every month.
They were waiting for you.
I'm sure, my riveting requests today. I am just asking, this is a paperwork thing. When I was here prior, I'd indicated the state had increased the basic grant amount for fiscal year 23 from 15,000 to the 56,000 $520. The software we utilized to submit the grant application was just not updated at that time. They just released it. The update was done. I just need an authorization for the chairman to sign. You were given, when you approved the fiscal year 2023 budget, you were given the breakdown of how the child care fund is going to utilize the 56,000. So kind of already approved it. I just need authorization for a signature.
Do you have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by
I'll support.
Mr. Konachevsky, support by Commissioner Forney. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yep.
So we heard from Ms. Mott regarding the state of the juvenile detention system, and quite frankly, it's more of the lack thereof. And at the last meeting, we talked about, at the Courts and Public Safety meeting, we talked about having an ad hoc committee to look at a potential either county or county/regional juvenile detention center. So I just want to get it on the record that we should still have that ad hoc committee, and after we're done with this, if I need to file a motion to do so, that's what I plan to do.
Yeah, we'll talk about that probably at the end.
Okay, sir. Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Okay.
Nellie, you want to explain a little bit, new commissioners we talked about about the juvenile detention facility?
I can give you an overview. We've had somewhat of a perfect storm recently as it relates to the child care fund. I am the juvenile court supervisor, so juvenile delinquency cases, abuse neglect cases. This budget has historically had the potential to negatively impact your county budget, which is why I come report to let you know what we're spending, how we're spending it. The biggest expense has always been institutional care, and that comes in terms of foster care and residential care and detention care. Last fiscal year, the state passed the Raise the Age initiative. We used to keep youth until 17. At 17 in the state of Michigan, they became adults. The state did a study. We were one of, I think, 3 nationwide. So they did the Raise the Age initiative, decided we're going to make 18 the age of majority now. So the juvenile system essentially had to keep the kids an extra year. About 3 months before that legislation took effect, the state closed, or facilities voluntarily closed, and we lost a bunch of beds, hundreds of beds that we were placing juvenile delinquents and long-term abuse neglect youth in. And then we had to keep them an extra year under the juvenile delinquency code. So we got a huge influx of kids into the juvenile system, and they took almost half of our beds at the same time. What we have been in since October 1st of 2021, I think those numbers are right, is an almost impossible situation that you have youth that need placement, at-risk youth. It used to be we could call Sioux Tribe, we could call Roscommon, we could call Midland, get a bed for 3 nights, immediate consequence. Those beds don't exist anymore. I think right now, and we used to have 8, I would say off the top of my head, county detention facilities where we could get short-term placements as an immediate consequence. All of those have either closed down or restricted themselves to in-county only. So we don't even have beds available to them right now. The other side of that with the Raise the Age initiative is the state has said all funds related to 17-year-olds, we're going to 100% cover for you for 3 fiscal years. You've got 3 fiscal years to kind of figure this out, and we will reimburse the county 100% of the costs that they expended. So as we've seen the decrease in available beds and inability to place really at-risk youth, I called the Raise the Age folks and said, hey, what if I put an addition onto my jail? I need somewhere to house these kids. Raise the Age has essentially made beds non-existent, and my contact at the state was, so well, what's the relation to Raise the Age? I just told you there's no beds because the 17-year-olds, and we've got 17-year-olds I can't house. Yeah, we'll fund that. Well, the state came back and said they would fund 100% of our costs. So I approached the sheriff and said, can I get 6 beds out there? State will pay for it. We've got a capital improvement at the county with 0 local dollars. I now have the ability to place kids that I need to place that I believe are at risk. What do you think? And he's very forward thinking. If you need 6, plan for 12, whatever you're thinking. And that turned into contacting a contractor who said, we have to spend all the money by September 30th of 2024. So if we're going to make this reality, raise the age window closes that day, all bills have to be paid that day or they don't get reimbursed. So we contacted, I believe, Granger, who was involved with the jail. Maybe they built the jail. I should know that, all those finance meetings I went to. And Granger said, you're almost going to have to do pre-built. We've got this 32 bed, we could build there. How does that sound? And that's kind of where we're at right now. The cost projected, obviously, I know very little about construction, but Granger, I think, projected around 25 million. When I called Raise the Age and said, would you give that to us? I mean, this is what, oh yeah, we'd give it to you. I mean, it was not even, let's see some stuff. So the hope is that we can work, and other counties are doing the same thing. I believe Presco or Sheboygan is putting on 2 beds for $500,000. Traverse City has an entire work group on this. They're looking at a $32 million. So my thought was and remains, if we can get a huge capital improvement here with 0 out of pocket, the potential to employ people, get the reimbursement on the employment, maybe even not only protect the community, but potentially make money, generate some money. Doesn't seem like that bad of an idea to me. Again, I'm not a construction person, so I can't really speak to the feasibility, but that's where we're at today.
I believe Sheboygan's also looking into putting their extension system in for the juveniles.
And it may have been Sheboygan that was doing the 2 beds at the sheriff's office for $500,000. I think we do that. We need at least 2.
It's a motel.
Well, and we do have at the jail right now a juvenile holdover room that we utilize. Well, I think we've utilized it twice this week, sure. So we're out there all the time. The deputies are already essentially watching these kids. It would be nice to have a formal, secure facility where we could place a number of youth. And good, bad, or indifferent, we have the need here. I mean, there are kids that need to be placed that we are unable to place simply due to lack of availability. I'd come in here and ask for $600 a day for some of these kids if I could find a $600 a day bed, and I can't even do that right now.
You said some of those beds are 900?
900, 1,200, 1,600. We just, on my listserv, they found, and I believe it's a, really high level of treatment, but it's in Arizona and it was $1,600 a day. Adds up quick. Most of these places are around 12 months when you're talking treatment.
Good. Everybody got questions? Only thing I have, and would be with Kim, is that's a reimbursement. We have to spend the money before we get reimbursed.
Yes.
You got 25 million hiding there someplace?
But I'm sure we would do everything we could to figure it out. And another thing for you to think of was the more beds and be able to bring money in. Also more beds, you have more staffing required. So they'll have that balancing act like you do with your corrections office. Yes, it could bring money in, but you do also have to have the staffing.
He's absolutely right.
Both sides of that.
One of the things I think is great is through the child care fund, we get 50% of all costs back that are child care fund eligible, and certainly a detention facility, all of those staffing costs would be child care fund eligible. And they're talking, my understanding is they're going to increase the reimbursement to 75% at the state level, which means all of those staffing costs, insurance, fringe, everything, the county will get back 75% of that in a direct reimbursement. And then at the current structure, we get another 10% back in cost allocation. So you could potentially be looking at 85% reimbursement of allowable expenses.
More questions? Thanks.
Can I get the motion?
Yeah, I got a motion. We got a motion. It's ready. We got a second.
I just need
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Francisco?
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky?
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski?
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye?
No.
Commissioner Osmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Karshnick?
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes. I beat you to it.
bring this up right now for a signature. I'll get the
Okay.
forward a copy as soon as DHS signs, probably before the end of the week. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Lisa Kaspirik. Is that right? Did I spell it?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I am Lisa Kaspriak. I am your medical examiner administrator. So I run the department of the medical examiner's office for Alpena County. That jurisdiction is over all unexpected deaths, including homicide, suicide, and the like. So anything unexpected or non-natural. So today I would like to just go over sort of the State of the Union of our departments and go over the 2022 statistics that I believe is found in your packet today. So simply starting with the general numbers, we were approximately the same amount of cases from 2021 to 2022. The biggest increase was in accidents, however, that was only about 3 more last year over the previous year. We are mindful to keep an eye on each of the manner of death categories to make sure that that there isn't one category increasing at a higher rate than normal, and also compared to other jurisdictions that are adjacent to Alpena County. For example, some of our jurisdictions are experiencing a very large overdose rate. For them, it's approaching the #1 accidental death category in their counties. Touching on that just a little bit, we have been soliciting and received for the second year in a row a grant from the state of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to do extensive testing on the cases that respond to the scene. So Alpena County is part of that. To put it simply, we're casting a bigger net on those that we are testing on the scene. Every one of the 111 cases that we did last year represents not only a family that is hurting from an unexpected death, but also something that's possibly wrong, whether it is something that somebody did to them or something that they possibly have done to themselves. To place an assumption on each of those cases is wrong, and it does not do both the community or the decedents due justice if you go into these things assuming. So casting a bigger net on toxicology is something that we have received a grant for. With that, we are able to test for drugs of abuse on scene. We also have a second layer to that where we now are able to test for up to 66 drugs within 72 hours. That helps us report to law enforcement and child protective services if they need to remove a sibling in the home that may also be in danger from something we might not have expected. The third layer of toxicology that we do is the full panel of tox draws and tox testing that's done at the national lab. So, to assume anything on a case is always wrong in our department. We have, not in this county, but one of our very close counties, we had a 4-year-old overdose. And that's not anything that you go into the scene expecting happened to a 4-year-old. We were able to alert law enforcement right there on the scene that this is what we suspected because we do the testing. And then they were able to then contact Child Protective Services, and other children in the home were then removed. So to assume anything on a case, it's definitely something we don't do. And that's why we appreciate, the Alpena Board of Commissioners to their investment in us to help administrate your medical examiner's office. As you can see in your packet, we have a full committed staff of in-county investigators as well as management staff that covers a region of 14 counties. So we take national training right to the investigators that live and operate in Alpena County. With that, we bring the national training right to your doorstep. So there is American Board of Testing Investigators. That's a national accreditation, a national test, and national training, and we bring that right here. So Alpena County is operating with the utmost of investigations on every single scene, and we do so, compassionately and professionally on every scene. So with that in your packet, one of the other couple of side notes is the amount of donations that we were able to do. So the state of Michigan has a Kyle Horning law that requires each medical examiner in every county in Michigan to be part of the donation process on behalf of not only the decedent or the wishes of the next of kin of the family. So we had another really good year in Alpena County, where the silver lining of each of these unexpected deaths is we were able to successfully help the family to donate 5 different times this year. Each donation can affect up to 75 people each. We did that 5 times. And then we were really proud to be able to help these families complete their final wishes in these unexpected deaths. And this is my little personal note, I ended up as a donor recipient last year. So about 4 months ago, I had an unexpected childhood defect, probably a birth defect that came about, and all of a sudden I couldn't walk. And I needed to have that defect repaired. So yeah, I'm a recipient. So after doing this job for 30 years and helping, thousands of people donate, I was very grateful. Just a little side note, never expected to see that. I would love to answer any questions about anything that you see in the packet over the numbers that we had for last year, or anything about the structure of our system.
Any questions for Lisa?
Good report, Lisa.
Good report, yes, it was.
Thank you for having me. And
I'll entertain a motion to receive and file.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Brenda.
Second.
Support by Jesse. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
thank you so much.
Mary Catherine, budget adjustments.
They are listed on your, in your packet. You can take these as a group, or you can take them one by one. Most of them are carryovers from projects that were not completed in 2022, carried over into 2023. The only one that's not is obviously the equipment maintenance line item, which was for an emergency purchase for a refrigerator. The refrigerator at the fairgrounds caretaker house failed and needed to be replaced immediately.
I'd entertain a motion to have all these budget adjustments under one vote.
I'll second that.
Making the motion.
I'll make the motion that we place them all under one.
Okay. Second by Travis.
Check.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski, Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer, Commissioner Karshnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. Carrie. Motion to pay the bills. Did we ever get a chance to look through our packet? Any questions on the bills to be paid?
Unfortunately, John didn't get the packet because he would have had some problems. He would've.
Probably.
I did have 2 of them, but I already got them answered.
Okay.
So
Now I'd entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Karshnick, support.
I'll support.
Support by Commissioner Kozlowski. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kozlowski, Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Karshnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier, Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. Clerk's office year-end report is in your file.
In your packet, there's short, there's really nothing, any significant changes between 21 and 22. The Death certificates filed were down about 80 people, so that's good. Other than that, the numbers are almost identical from 21 to 22. So if you have any questions?
If not, I entertain a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Osmer, support by Commissioner Fournier. Roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Karshnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. Okay, Mary Catherine, approve the articles of corporation for the Northeast Michigan Materials Management Authority.
Yes, as the commissioners may recall, you guys approved the creation of the Northeast Michigan Materials Management Authority back in November of last year. This is to actually adopt the Articles of Incorporation. Because the Northeast Michigan Materials Management Authority resides entirely within the county of Alpena, it is the responsibility of this board to adopt those articles, and then they will be filed with the Secretary of State's office, which actually creates the authority and gives it legal standing. The articles will be effective January 1, assuming you guys adopt them today.
All the townships have approved it.
All of the townships are in, which is really fantastic. And that organizational meeting would actually be tonight.
Tonight. I'd entertain a motion to accept the articles of corporation.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Francisco, support.
I'll support that.
Support by Commissioner Karshnick. Discussion. No discussion. Roll
I
call,
do have a
please.
question.
Okay, Brenda.
I just want to be assured that if anything goes wrong, anything, the county commissioners are not going to be held responsible. The county will not be held responsible for any bills that will be left over.
As someone who has legal training, Brenda, I am not going to guarantee you that 100%. That being said, the creation of the Northeast Michigan Materials Management Authority means that entity stands legally on its own. It will take on its own debt, responsible for its own bills and payments. It will have its own EIN number separate from the counties and separate from any of the constituent organizations. So if that authority were to fail, it would fail on its own.
Because I know the county had gotten into a few things. As a matter of fact, we're still paying for them. And I would hate to get into something that may cause us to end up paying for something again. That's the problem I have.
Nope, this entity stands entirely on its own and will own all of its own stuff. The county of Alpena will not own those items.
Landfill, same thing as a landfill.
Will it have a board of directors?
Yes, it will. And that's what the Articles of Incorporation create, is the board of directors that manages that entity.
Okay, I see it now, sorry.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please, Carrie.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Karshnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. Okay, reports of special or ad hoc committees, facilities, Travis. You weren't here, so I guess Bill will have to give that report.
I didn't realize I had to give a report, so I don't have the report.
Well, it was in your packet.
Minutes in the packet, so if anyone has any questions.
I don't think there was anything
Okay,
unusual there.
okay. Brenda, reports and public safety.
Interesting. I guess the only thing I had to report, in which she was already here talking about the addition onto the jail for the juveniles. That was the biggest thing. I don't know if Bert, or did you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I recall the same as you, Brenda. It wasn't anything really outstanding at that, other than the fact that the report that Janelle Mott gave us and the discussion of potentially an ad hoc committee.
Right.
Okay, personnel, Dave.
Yeah, we had quite a few things take place. We had instructed County Administrator Hannah, we do not have any documents how we appoint committees. And we're going to draw up some, because this gets very confusing. Somebody may want a committee and they don't want the committee, so we're gonna get some rules so that we know where we're at when we pick out committees to serve on. Also, the Sheriff Smith had given us an update on staffing. The correction officers are fully staffed, and the department has 3 deputies in training, which will take about 3 more weeks, so we'll be fully staffed with road patrol. And on a side note, he's upset because he's not gonna get any brown uniforms anymore. They're not making brown uniforms, so you gotta pick out a new color. Have you picked one out yet, Sheriff?
I think there's only one option, but it's gonna be within a year and we probably won't be able to get our pants in.
For some reason, they're not gonna make brown uniforms, whatever that may be.
They're called pink tan.
And we also, we thank you, Chris. And we also, okayed the order of personnel, older personnel committee meeting, which is in the packet, and also the youth and rec. People who represent our district. We each have a candidate and they all accepted the position. That's basically what we did in the personnel committee. Do you have anything to add? Yeah, okay, that's it.
Good, thank you. Special orders, unfinished business and general orders. We're to the point now with the DDA. Commissioner Karshnick had asked Ted Summers to come up and do an explanation of what it's going to cost the county.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Commissioner Karshnick and I have been discussing the Downtown Development Authority expansion and how we're going to be in the county for the past few months now. I know that you've been provided some information from the authority on some of the increases in value. All I really did was run a 10-year and a 29-year average. The taxable value grows based on the consumer price index. And there's been a 2.1% increase in the past 10 years, and a 2.3% increase in the past 29 years. Proposal A went into effect in 1995, and that's when the current property assessment process that we use today was introduced, and that was 29 years ago. That's why 29 years is the number that I used to come up with that average. The consumer price index is the multiplier used to increase the taxable values each year. So the 2.1 and the 2.3% are based on historic values. No idea what's going to happen in the future. And the second component would be that if approved, the DDA would capture any additions in taxable value added to the base taxable value on the individual parcels that were within the approved district. These additions in taxable values would be captured at 100% after the year the improvement was completed. Some of these examples would be a new structure built, addition to an existing structure, renovation, personal property, that kind of stuff. So there's kind of 2 different components to this. And one of them being the rate of inflation multiplier per year would be the captured amount, but any new additions that were built or constructed would go to a 100% capture after the first year. So that's some of the stuff that I wasn't sure, we had been discussing over the last few months, and just wanted to make sure that we clarified some of those points.
What kind of costs are we looking at, Ted?
Well, for the rate of, I put together a couple different spreadsheets, and for the 10-year, just the county operating millage of 4.7763. Over 10 years, at the 2.1% increase, now this isn't counting any additions or new construction, you'd be looking at a capture of $40,944. But when you bump that up to 2.3%, it goes to $45,115. So you can see what a small increase can do to your capture amount. That's relatively small numbers, but it could possibly be the new additions and construction added to the roll that would be captured. That would be 100% captured, not just the rate of inflation multiplier. So I want to make sure that was understood.
So if somebody would say a $10 million project would capture how much with it?
Well, we assess at 50% of true cash value. So if there was a $10 million building constructed, we would, there would be $5 million added to the roll. And for the county operating, that would equate to $23,882. So, you know, obviously that's a big building. There's not a lot of them around here that are that, but even at $1 million, you're looking at a $4,776 capture of those monies. So
So that money would be generated from the new taxes on the new building?
correct.
Okay.
The new improvements. Now, there would be a base value set, which is typically the current year taxable value. And then from that point on, any TIF or captured rate would be captured by the DDA.
So if that $10 million building isn't built because we don't have any funds from the DDA, we're still not going to get any money from that, right? So if we don't join up with the DDA and that $10 million building does not get built, we're still not going to get any money.
Correct.
So in fact, we're really not out any additional dollars.
Based on, you know, if it doesn't get built, you're not going to get the money. Correct. If it does get built, they capture the money, then you will be out that money. So if the expansion helps get the building built, then I guess that's a possibility, yes.
Right.
Well, you got a $5 million grant already. So it's half paid for right now.
For one building.
For one building.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's four empty within 2 blocks.
Any other questions?
Well, on the DDA, there's several buildings in that area that have already been remodeled or new, you know, like the McDonald's, the Chrysler dealership, Jeep dealership, and that little mall up there across from Little Caesars, that's fairly up to date. And there's quite a few places that are up to date there. So you're going to actually taxing them some more, adding tax to their, well, if you vote for the DDA thing, the DDA is going to charge them tax, right?
1.98.
1.98. So that
Residential
goes on their,
houses also.
that goes on their, whatever their appraised value is.
Right, but there's no additional capture. I mean, I would refer those questions to Mike Mahler and Ian Gentry. They're the ones who are the experts on the DDA.
Be glad to clarify if they're.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. They got any questions on?
So what was the question, Bill, so with respect to,
Well, these people that built the buildings are fairly new.
yep,
When you tax them, when the DDA taxes them, you're going to tax them 1.9%
right,
on whatever the value is now or in the future.
that's correct. Absolutely, a new tax that they weren't paying before. If you agree to do this today, they're going to get a 1.98 mils tax added to their tax bill
Yeah.
as it exists today.
They're actually,
For properties.
they're not going to get any benefit out of that though. If you add,
Yeah, I would argue.
if it's a brand new,
I'd argue that.
I mean, it's not going to help them any.
I would, yeah, I certainly think that it certainly helps lay the groundwork for a lot of improvement all around them as well, which should all benefit from. But you're right, the tax bill would go up.
Yeah, that's the dollars that pay for the administration of the DDA and help these businesses and properties owners receive the grant.
I understand the DDA. I've been in it for ever since it started. I've been paying the DDA tax, so I know. But I'm just wondering if these people that just remodeled their buildings never got any benefit from that, and they're probably not going to get much in the future because they've already done the work.
Well, I would argue that they would benefit if their neighbor's property gets fixed up because of the tools that are available. I mean, that's part of the thought is like the rising tide helps the whole district, which helps you and your neighbor because now instead of looking across the street at a blighted property, there's a nicer building which affects your property value as well.
And I would also say there's not been a single business owner from the Chrysler dealer, anybody else has come to us and said, we oppose, I don't want to pay that 1.98 mils.
Okay.
No one has come to me as part of the DDA or any of our meetings and all of the conversation back and forth with business owners and property owners. That issue has never been raised a single time that I'm aware of from a business owner. The only thing we've heard from business owners is we need this. We need this expansion. And no one's come to us and said, I'm opposed to, like McInerney, for instance, and the Chrysler dealer. They have a nice building there now. Mike has not called me and say, I object. I want you to know. That's not an issue that we've had to deal with at all. Simply, we've not had any pushback except for the, a couple of retail or residential properties on the river. That was really the extent of it.
And in the first mailing, just one more comment, that was sent out, every property owner got what their estimated tax increase would be. So the additional spreadsheet I sent, those property owners were made aware that if this passes by the city, this would be the additional tax bill, and still those businesses issued support for it because they see the overall benefit.
Okay.
I'm also relatively familiar with franchises and how they work. And franchises like the Chrysler dealership and the McDonald's are required by their franchise holdee to do building improvements and sometimes a complete renovation, a minimum usually of every 10 years. So those funds that they are required to put into their business anyway, potentially could be greatly offset by the DDA's contribution. Because just in the last 15 years, the Chrysler dealership has changed appearances 2 or 3 times. And of course, that all comes with a cost.
Okay, I'm good.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I've got comments on the comments I got, laptop, they sent me emails and phone calls. The people that have been at millage right now for the veterans and the seniors, their comment was, you're taking that money away from us and giving it to the DDA. And then there's residential homes involved in the situation too, that they're gonna have to pay 1.98%. And most of them are, I have not got one positive comment to do this on my laptop and my phone calls. And I just think it's a money grab is what it is. And I can't see anything happening for the rest of the community when our tax situation is in dire straits. We lose more tax dollars. Eventually, we're gonna have to say, hey, how are we gonna pay all these bills? Like I mentioned before, we got a $12 million budget and we're taking less than $11 million. And it's not gonna be a quick fix, but if we don't change sooner or later, it's only gonna get worse. And I just cannot support giving up our tax base for the DDA. They've done a fine job downtown, and I think that's where it should stay.
Mayor Catherine, we come up with 3 options, and I think everybody got those 3 options on there.
I did, oh, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't know if we're done with Mr. Summers or not. And then if
Go ahead.
we're, obviously, we're kind of in discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I may.
Go
bring
ahead.
discussion. So I think, Mr. Summers, you can probably go back to your seat.
Yep, you can. Unless you got a bunch of money first.
Thanks, Ted.
So I have to agree with Mr. Karshnick because I've received a number of letters, emails of discontent after today. I'll probably get many more, and that's fine. But the emails I received indicated the same thing, that, we have voted for certain millages, and now if you're going to take money that is earmarked for those millages and divert tax dollars to the DDA, I probably would have a hard time supporting millages in the future. And my constituents, Northern Alpena Township, Maple Ridge, and Eastern Long Rapids Township, I tried to explain to the few of them what the primary, secondary, and tertiary effects might be, but that wasn't much of my argument wasn't real convincing. So I have to share, Mr. Commissioner Karshnick's feeling about it as well.
I'd just like to say that we just can't afford it with the tax base that we have. We can't afford to take any more away from it. And I also received a lot of phone calls, emails, which I did share with you commissioners. So I don't see how we're going to benefit from it, really.
There was 3 options, Mary Catherine. You want to go through them?
Sure. Just very quickly, the 3 options that we discussed at the last meeting were to opt in, to opt out, or a mix in which we opted out as to certain millages. There's not really an opt-in. You are in unless you opt out. So there is no such thing as a resolution to opt in. The other option is to opt out, which is the resolution that is attached in your materials, which is opting out as to all of the millages for the TIF capture. The third option is if we wanted to opt in as to certain millages. For example, if we opted in for the county operating millage, but opted out for the other millages, which would be like the older persons, the veterans, the youth and rec, the ambulance, the jail. It is my understanding in talking with our legal counsel that first we opt out entirely Then we would enter into an interlocal agreement with the city, the DDA, to allow them to capture the millages, the revenue as to certain millages. And you have two options with that. One, you can opt in with an interlocal agreement as to certain millages. So you could say we will opt in and allow you to capture the revenue associated with the operating millage. But then the opt-out continues on with the others. You also have an opportunity to opt in at a lower than 100% capture. If that, obviously this is an interlocal agreement. The city and or the DDA would have to agree to that as part of that, that interlocal agreement. But that would be another option, would be to enter into negotiation with the city, the DDA, as to either certain millages or other than 100% capture as part of the TIF plan.
So those are your basically your two options. You opt in, you do nothing, you're in, you opt out, or you can opt out with a stipulation that you don't want these millages touched.
You would enter into a negotiation with the city about certain.
How soon would you have to enter into the negotiation?
You could honestly, you can opt in at any time. You could opt in next year, you could opt in 3 years, but that would be dependent on whether or not the city decided to move forward with their DDA. They could decide based on your decision not to move forward with the DDA expansion, in which case the issue's dead, not a big deal. If they move forward with the DDA without the county because you have opted out, you can then enter into the interlocal agreement with the city or the DDA at any point moving forward as part of that DDA.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. So if the board hypothetically opts out, can the DDA ask to have a millage placed on a ballot for the surrounding townships within Alpena County to ask if they want to pay specifically through a millage to the equivalent amount of the DDA?
I don't think that's viable because the property has to be contiguous. So you couldn't, we're looking at a very finite 8 blocks right up Chisholm Street, for instance. I don't know how you would do that via a public vote on a ballot. So I think that's not a viable angle to pursue. I think it's.
Just looking for courses of action that are available. That's all. Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
I'll make a motion.
So if somebody wants to make a motion, either,
He said he did.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
We
good.
opt out of the DDA's request. We just can't afford it. That's my motion.
got a motion to opt out of the DDA by Commissioner Karshnick. Any support?
I'll support it.
Support by Commissioner Francisco. Discussion.
I opted out.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Jessica.
Discussion.
Is this a complete opt-out or is this an opt-out?
Complete opt-out.
With option to revisit?
Complete option.
So we would need to make a complete opt-out for them to come back with alternative options? Is that what I'm hearing?
You could at some later date decide to enter into negotiations with them to do an interlocal agreement. You
So
don't,
what's the realistic timeline that this needs some closure for you folks?
So you have until February 3rd to opt out. If you do nothing by that date, you're in. But if you opt out before that date, then the timeline, as Mary Catherine said, to enter an agreement could go on. We were hoping to wrap this up by March. But city council, after their 60-day period, which is that February 3rd date, that's the earliest they could even talk about adopting the TIF plan and the boundary expansion. But there isn't a point at which they can't consider that anymore.
and just.
And who would take that up? Would that be a committee of the county board to study that and bring back a recommendation if there was some sort of negotiation? I don't know how, to answer your question, in terms of timing, I don't know how that would be handled on the county board side to come up with, and it is support. Someone really want none of it to be diverted to the DDA. So I guess you'd have to figure out among yourselves if you're gonna path forward for the city to consider trying to enter into some interlocal agreement. I would just say, just from my perspective, the sooner we do it, the better. We've been on this for a year now, so I wouldn't want to drag this out for 6 more months, frankly. I just think that we've got things we probably need to start focusing on as well. Just for us to try to get this past the finish line. So if there's interest in taking care of that, pursuing that, if there's a win-win, I'd say let's do it faster rather than slower.
If we opt out, we can always form a committee, get together and decide what we're going to do with it. if we want to do some certain millages or just do the general, or percentage, do that and get back to Mike and Ann as fast as we could. I mean, I'd push it as fast as I could. So
If we opt out, how long have we got before it automatically goes? If we don't opt out now, when would it be automatic? February 3rd?
Yep.
And you don't have another meeting before then. So if you're going to opt out, you need to do it today. And just to be clear, the motion needs to be that you are adopting the resolution that is included in your materials.
Correct that motion, Dave. You're opting out. You're make the motion that we're using the resolution that's in our materials for opting out.
Yeah, we're opting out of all the taxes.
Okay. We got a second. Any more discussion?
Nope, my support still stands.
Okay.
So I want to be very clear, and I'm really sorry. By opting out, does that mean that we agree to move forward with the expansion?
That's up to the city. At the end of the day, you are opting out as to the TIF capture, which is the tax plan, which is the funding mechanism for the DDA. The city could decide to move forward with the DDA expansion, whether or not you guys want the TIF or not. Now, if you opt out of the TIF, obviously that takes a big chunk of the funding away. So they could decide not to move forward, but they could also decide to move forward. Have I stated that correctly?
But if they decide to move forward, that leaves the county out of it.
Well, we are still included, our properties are still included in the DDA boundaries because the DDA boundaries include us. We do not allow them to capture the revenue associated with those properties for the TIF district. We can't pull our properties out. The city gets to expand the DDA boundaries because the properties are within the city limits. We just would opt out as to the TIF plan, which is the funding mechanism, which is that revenue capture for the taxes. I know it's like super unstraightforward.
So if we opt out, the city, they can still come back and tax some of our property, even if we opt
Taxable entity.
with the TIF.
Right. We are tax exempt
Okay,
because we are the county.
That's what my motion is, Brenda, tax exempt.
okay.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please, Carrie.
Commissioner Karshnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
No.
Commissioner Kozlowski,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson.
Yes. And Mike will get fast work as fast as we can if we get the committee together. So, yep. Okay. Revisit various board positions. With the appointment of John, there was some open positions. I'd like to fill them with John. We had,
Right here.
I got him right here. I got him.
Another one.
Oh, there's one in there.
Drug awareness.
Where's the other one? Give me the other one. Yeah.
Drug awareness, and the other one was
DARE board.
Fair board.
Dare?
DARE.
Dare.
I was on that board.
Would you take that one?
Yep.
Okay.
The alternate for Target Alpena. The alternate for Thunder Bay Marine Sanctuary. The Emergency Shelter Program, the United Way Board.
It was on the facilities one, on the statutory, in the facilities, John. Open, we left that open.
Okay.
I want to make sure it's still a full-time job, John.
Your one. Personnel, you want to?
well, John had it, and I'd like to just give it back.
Okay, well, Brenda wants to resign from personnel and give it to John.
That sounds like deja vu.
Yeah,
We've been here, done that.
We've been there and done it before, yes.
so
It's up
if
to
you
you.
accept that, John?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if now's a
Yeah.
appropriate time. Just a notation. I'm still on the Northern Michigan Regional Entity SUD on here. I believe that's one I'd have to travel for outside of the county, correct? That's a Gaylord or Grayling meeting. And my only thought is, I know I can't make those because I do have a day job, so I can attend local meetings, but traveling is going to be difficult. If we could swap me and Burr or something, or put John in, the reason being is alternates don't get reimbursed for travel, from my understanding.
No, they do. They do if they go.
If you,
Do it to go.
Go.
According to our board documentation, our bylaws or whatever, alternates are not compensated for, therefore,
if you sub in, so if you become the person who attends the meeting,
then you would.
you would, but if
Then you're
you're
the-
just
You're
attending
going
as a second.
to go to see it. You don't
Then
get
you
it.
don't, okay. If you're replacing the primary holder, then you would because you're acting in their behalf, but.
Correct.
I understand, thank you.
So you want to switch that, Bert, or?
Yeah, I'm willing to do that. I don't have a
Not
day
much.
job, so, or unless Commissioner Kozlowski would like to take that, I'll stay as alternate. I don't know.
I'm good.
Okay. Yes, and I'm fine with that. That's not a problem.
Okay, we see, what else we got? Their board. So Mary Catherine, will you read those and we'll get a roll call vote on them?
Did you have everybody on facilities?
John's,
I thought there was an opening on
yeah, John's
facilities.
taking that.
Well,
No, but
That's the open spot.
right, the open spot was on facilities. So if John takes facilities and then also takes your spot on personnel. Okay.
Then you could send out a new.
And yes, then we'll send out an updated sheet. Yeah.
So we got John's going down on the facilities, on the personnel. Brenda's resigning from personnel. And the other committee meetings, board member appointments, those are corrected. Need a motion to accept those.
Further discussion, if I may,
Yeah.
Mr.
first we
Chairman.
gotta make a
So,
motion, accept and support and
and
discuss.
discussion, okay.
Yeah, we need a motion
I'll make the
first.
motion.
Make a motion by Brenda, support. Second by Jess. No.
If we're gonna send out an updated various board appointments, can we put an as of date? Because right now I have 3 different
Yes.
documents and I'm not sure which one is the most current, so. if you could-
Wonderful suggestion.
Thank you.
Yes. There is at the bottom, there is actually a date on this one of 1/24, which is today, but given today's changes, I will then make a new one with an updated date on it. Yes.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
That was a very,
One other thing, we talked about with juvenile detention facility.
yes.
I would like to form a committee, to go over that. Sheriff Smith would be on that. I know Jesse has expressed interest on it, myself, because I've been involved with that jail project. Is there anybody else who'd like to get on that committee?
And Janelle would be appointed as well.
Janelle will be on there, yep. Because she's getting us some money.
It is an overload. I have from previous experience in the juvenile justice system.
Okay, so Bert be on that committee also. And we'll get working on that because that's time sensitive there by 24, September 24, so. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Any new business?
I think we covered it.
Public comment? Anybody in the public in the room want to make a comment?
Do I need to reintroduce myself?
Yeah.
This is your date. Because I recognize this is a thankless job sometimes, I wanted to come up and say thank you to all of the board members who had a difficult choice to make today, and I believe they made the right one. And so, so we were in a tough spot, and I appreciate that you listened to the voters of District 8. And I'd like to congratulate John back to the board as our representative. It will probably not always be easy. You may pull your hair out some days, but I
He's got
appreciate.
any left. He's got any left.
I've been there.
But Bill, I appreciate that you made that tough choice, and I'm sure there are days you were probably gonna go, oh, but it is what the voters wanted. So I do appreciate that you made the right choice today. Thank you.
Thank you.
District 8.
Anybody else?
I just kind of want to echo Lisa's remarks. Thank you for making a tough decision. John is a good asset for Alpena County, and I think this board will take Alpena County into the next phase where it needs to go. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody online? Got a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Fournier, seconded by Commissioner Osborne. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody.